Coming up, I might eat some humble pie when it comes to Apple's WWDC. And should ice cream be hard?
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey guys, welcome along to another episode of Double Tap. And every day here at Double Tap, it really is an episode of our lives. The things that we talk about before this show starts, honestly, Shaun Priest, we could probably do 10 shows in a day and still never really get to the point of what we wanted to talk about.
And 9 of those episodes we probably shouldn't have done. Yes, let's just leave the off-air talk off-air. What have you got to say today, Stephen Scott?
Can I ask you a question? Is ice cream meant to be hard? No, let me preface this, because you might wonder. Well, yeah, of course it's meant to be hard. It's ice cream. I mean, yeah, that's what ice cream is. Here's the thing. So I'm asking you this genuinely because I got some ice cream out the freezer the other day.
Yes,
and this is just like your typical vanilla ice cream. It's not this fancy stuff. I can't stand. See all this thing nowadays? Everything's got, it's caramelized, salted. Just give me what I want. I just want plain, boring vanilla ice cream. The cheesecake example, as you well know, I was very annoyed the time we're sitting in that restaurant. And we've got raspberry, and we've got salted caramel, and we've got this, and we've got that. Just give me cheesecake, New York style cheesecake. Cheese and cake. That's it.
Poor waiter. I felt so sorry for them.
Yeah, honestly. But,
okay, so you want boring ice cream, yeah?
So I get the boring ice cream out the fridge, just a little tub, just a tiny little tub, right? Peel off the little lid, and the top level was kind of hard.
Yeah.
No, I expect that. It's ice cream.
It's frozen.
But then I bit into it, and I thought, that's more cream than ice cream. There's more cream here than ice.
Okay.
And as I dug further in, it tasted more like ice cream. Can ice cream go off?
Feedback at doubletaponair.com. Can ice cream go? What are you talking about? Are you sure it was ice cream, not some sort of, I don't know, dessert, some gâteau?
No, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't any of that. I don't buy that rubbish. I'm not interested in all the all that. And
no. Have you not heard of substitutions, Stephen Scott? You may have ordered, boring
I checked.
old school.
I checked. It was plain vanilla ice cream in a tub. That's all it was. And for some reason, it was hard. So my question to you today, dear listener, is can ice cream go off in the freezer? Because I thought the freezer halted all forms of life from continuing.
Yeah, no, you're quite right.
That's a bit extreme to put it that way, but that's what I kind of assumed with a freezer, right?
Cairo. Yeah. No, nothing. Can anything go off once it's frozen? I mean, you can have something as long as it's frozen. It doesn't go off.
That's
Is
what
that
I
right?
thought.
Double Tap isn't a medical show. Please take any advice.
It's not a food show either.
No, or a food show.
No. How's your bowels?
Right. Oh, wow. So we're going there. Because your ice cream story didn't go anywhere, you're going to throw me under the bus.
I know, I'm asking a question. All I do here is ask questions. That's all I do.
That old excuse. I'm just asking. My bowels are under investigation. Thank you, Stephen Scott. Is that enough for you?
Under investigation? No, hang on. Is this because you're in your 50s? Is it that time? Is it that time?
Okay, so yes, I was recently 52, and apparently that triggers a whole... Firstly, it seems I get all the adverts for funerals and over 50s life insurance on my TV now for some reason. And secondly, letters from my doctor saying that I am now due for bowel cancer screening. Oh. And they are going to send me a kit. Right? This is something they do in the UK for anyone 50, 60 and 70. Mm-hmm. As soon as my daughter read that letter, she said, I'm out. And then my other my other daughter quickly said, yeah, don't look at me. I'm out as well. Yeah. Sarah was busy laughing on the floor.
Did Ira call you and say, don't ask? My Eyes volunteers have been in touch. Mike Buckley's been in touch, said, look, I'm sorry, I'm out, guys. I'm not playing party to this.
Basically, you get a kit and you need to take a sample of something unspeakable and send it back to them. Poop in a box, basically.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you, the actual practicalities of it without being gross, how do you do that?
Well, I mean, without being gross, and you have to be, I suppose, but it does involve kind of getting up close and personal a little bit,
Getting
doesn't
your
it?
hands dirty.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, get some gloves.
No,
I mean, you're going to have to
refuse.
burn them straight after, but
I'm sorry, I don't think I can do it.
Well, it's funny you say that, right? Because you think we've both got dogs.
Oh, yeah.
How much, what was it? Now, Troy Attilio came up with this phrase that I really loved, garden bombs.
Mm-hmm.
I love that phrase. We're going to use
Dog
that
eggs.
from...
Yeah.
Dog eggs, yeah. We deal with that all the time. So why is that okay? And it's not really, is it? Because it's disgusting as well. But you kind of get used to it very quickly. Whereas when it's our own, you think, well, that's even more okay, right? Because it's ours.
No.
No?
I've never had issues. I've never had no, it's just wrong, that's all. No, it does bring up an interesting question though, right? Because this stuff is embarrassing, it's awful,
but it's
right?
kind of important as well.
But it is, exactly. I'm just thinking, I'll just skip it, I'm not going to do that. But you're right, it is important. And for something, I don't know. You know what? I am not looking for feedback at doubletaponair.com.
Well, someone might have an answer that you might,
there is
find really useful.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you can do it. I'm sure.
Couldn't you go to the doctor?
But
in the way,
even
for example, you
worse,
go for a
isn't
urine
it?
sample or something like that. Because that's one thing. I suppose it's a bit easier. But
that's fine. The other, no, I don't think so.
I mean, there's just no way around it, is it? It's like it's a horrible thing, and even getting a nurse involved feels bad, right? I mean,
it's one of those...
I went through an operation once where the nurse, she, and it's so funny. Whenever anyone says to you, did you have a bed bath? It's like, did you have a bed bath? Oh, that must have been. It's like, honestly, I'm telling you, it's the worst thing I've ever experienced ever. I guarantee there is nothing nice or enjoyable about a nurse in a bed bath. Even if the nurse is gorgeous and attractive, it makes no difference. In fact, it probably makes it even worse.
Yes,
it's a horrible experience. And that's just because you feel really uncomfortable. It's so personal, and you're like, and of course you're ill as well. It's not like you're just there for, I came in for a bed bath today.
Yes.
You've gone through surgery as I had gone through. So, but I wonder though, because I know with prostate cancer tests now, they do like preemptive treatments there.
They do a blood test now for that.
It's a blood test, that's right. So is that not the case with bowel cancer? You still have to do it with the sample?
As far as I know, yeah, it's called a FIT test or something. I won't tell you what those letters stand for, but basically it's checking for any blood in stool.
Got you, right. Okay, so they have to do that.
So they do it that way. But it's just one of those moments, it's just one of those blind moments that, you think, this is one of the things I've really got to do myself.
We've talked about this so many times, haven't we? We've talked about the healthcare stuff, and if the doctor says to you, have you got blood in your urine? And I don't know. I mean, unless I can take a picture and show you, and I don't really want to be having those pictures on my phone. It's just like it's difficult. I think, funnily enough, this is kind of where AI and smart technology could be really interesting. So I know, for example, in Japan, one thing that Japan is way ahead on, way ahead in a lot of things, but way ahead on is with smart toilets. In fact, if ever you think about a smart toilet, immediately Japan probably comes into your mind.
Yeah, it's almost a meme, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's also because they are very prevalent. And I'm starting to hear more people here get them, especially people, maybe not so much smart to the fullest extent, more for washing and cleaning. And actually, the biggest reason for that is because it cuts down on the amount of waste in terms of toilet paper, in terms of these flushable wipes that people buy. It's environmental reasons, actually. If you can use something which essentially cleans you without the need to use this.
Dear.
And actually, I will tell you, a family member of mine has one of these toilets. I've not used it, but I've had very I've had great reports. I've heard good things. But I have, I've heard amazing stories about this, and it's incredible. Now, if you can go one step further than that, stop being childish.
Can I just say you brought up this topic? All right, I didn't. This is all on you.
But it's interesting to me. So they're going further in Japan because one thing they're doing is they're essentially analyzing the toilet bowl in a sense. So when you go to the bathroom, it's kind of analyzing as it goes. So you might find in the future, you don't have to worry about the whole sample thing because the toilet will sort of tell, a bit like your Apple Watch tells you your heart rate's low, or it can kind of detect these things. I actually think that's the way this is all going to go, and that'll make all of this more accessible to us.
It is actually a very good idea. In fact, I'm sure maybe I just read about it, but didn't we talk about this before, that a toilet doing urine samples initially? But
Yes.
I mean, it makes total sense being able to do something like that. But yeah, okay, Joy, can we now move on? I'm uncomfortable.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I felt a little bit of buyer's remorse when I watched Apple WWDC the other day. Because I thought, oh, really? I mean, what is this? This is just boring design, liquid glass, whatever. And then, I don't know, I've had a day to kind of think about it all. And I don't know, I'm kind of eating a bit of humble pie here. I think the problem is...
no.
Well, look, I think the issue here is that we kind of went into this ready to attack. Apple Intelligence is terrible.
No.
Apple
totally
Intelligence is terrible,
balanced.
and I want Apple to get on their knees and apologize. And actually, when I saw what they were offering up, I was kind of like, there's a lot of cool stuff in here.
What did I say?
For the Mac,
What did I say at the time?
Almost like it's the little things that Apple are bringing. And I actually think they have learned a lesson here. I think they have learned a lesson. So a few commentators picking up on this. The over-promising that they did at WWDC 24, that was the mistake.
Yes.
That was the issue. They promised things they couldn't deliver on. They knew they couldn't deliver on them, and they still promised it anyway.
Whoa. We don't
they did.
know.
Look, there were demonstrations of things that didn't even exist.
That's the
were
rumor.
shown.
Has that been verified? We don't know that.
We do not check our sources here at Double Tap.
No, that's what I'm saying. We don't know. I've heard that claim as well.
But we know in the sense of these things have never materialized, right?
Yeah.
And there was talk that some of the demos were almost fabricated to show what this will look like, right?
Allegedly.
Now, again, bear in mind, and this is important, the Worldwide Developer Conference is to show you what's coming. So they could show you something that they intended to bring out and never got there, right? I mean, we've seen that before. We saw the AirPower mat. Whatever happened to that, right? It was a great idea. I'd have had one in a minute. It never materialized into anything. So they can show you things sometimes that they kind of hope will come out. It was the problem was it was presented in a way that it was coming and it was going to happen, and it didn't. And overall, I think most people would agree Siri and Apple Intelligence generally was a letdown. It wasn't what we kind of hoped it would be. It wasn't going to be able to dig into our phones and surface up, information from mail or from messages in the way that it couldn't, the way that others are starting to do.
Well, yes, you say that like they're starting to do, are they? I don't know anything else that really works like that to a certain degree. It's all sort of touching on it. Yeah, maybe you can send an email or set a reminder, but it's all of them are very limited at the minute. But I will say, I think there's a big distinction here, right? All the other ones I see as one thing, right? Gemini is just one overreaching thing. With Apple Intelligence, I think you're right. I think the voice assistant side is different. What do they call it? Personalized intelligence with Siri. Being able to dig through your own emails and whatever else. But separate to that, those things that's shown at WWDC, like hold assist and call screening and various other things, actually, I see that as different. That's almost the AI behind the scenes. And actually, that is still pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, look, that's kind of my takeaway from WWDC this year. I mean, I actually think, and that's my point, they're not over-promising stuff that they can't deliver on. I mean, I think that now they are actually showing us what is coming. They've kind of calmed down a lot of the rhetoric on, almost trying to show themselves as being further ahead in the game than they actually are. They're showing you stuff that is actually going to come. I mean, I think the Spotlight stuff in Mac OS is going to be very interesting. I mean, yeah, poor launch bar, but
that was actually, I think that's something that has been sort of almost overlooked. I think that seemed really powerful to me. You imagine something on Windows that could do that. The start menu is pretty terrible, to be honest, but the amount of functionality in that was amazing.
Well, I mean, all you use the start menu for, or certainly I do, and I think you're the same, is to open an app, and that's if you can get it to actually show the app.
Yeah. Yeah, mine still thinks I'm doing first letter quick navigation for a table or edit box. Like I'm in a browser. I don't know what's happening with it at the minute. But yeah, I mean, being able to send an email straight from Spotlight, for us, I mean, it's ideal, right? That's sort of our ideal work condition. I just hit Command Space and then type, basically. I'm back in DOS. This is amazing.
Yeah. And, I mean, and I still think, I mean, what I will say, even though I think it has Sherlocked to some degree launch bar, I still think there's a place for LaunchBar because LaunchBar does a lot more than that. I mean, actually, the implementation of LaunchBar into macOS is amazing. I mean, you've got so much access to the Finder. You can pretty much work through all your folders and files. You can move files around. You can send files to people with a simple keystroke in LaunchBar. You don't even need to go through the whole, copying and pasting, having to deal with the Finder at all. You can actually just live in LaunchBar. That's not something it seems available through the new Spotlight. So there's still a place for it. But
yes,
I do like that they're building that deeper integration. I love the Mail idea. It's funny because the Mail app on the Mac, I was talking to our good friend Mark Aflalo about this last night, and I said, I actually feel I'd like to go back to using that more because I still do like the Mac Mail app. I think it's one of the best apps out there. So simple. It's just a simple. Now, the only issue I have is with our email inbox, our feedback inbox. It's a Microsoft shared mailbox, right? So I can't access that on the Mac Mail app. You can only access that through Outlook. And I've tried, and if someone can find a way or tell me a way to do it,
is that
please.
an Exchange account? Does that not?
Yeah. So because our Double Tap On Air accounts are Microsoft Exchange, and the feedback is a shared mailbox. If it wasn't a shared mailbox, and it was just a mailbox.
It doesn't support shared. That's the issue.
No. And that's, if they could build that into Mac Mail, that would be very interesting. But you've got Exchange accounts you can add.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't know how you can add some. Maybe there's another way. I've looked around and there never has been a way to be able to do this that I can understand or find. But if anyone knows different, please let me know, because I'd love to just move back to the Mail app. I will say though, on the Mac, the Outlook app is actually pretty nice. The new, and it's funny actually, the new version is way more accessible than the previous edition, which is kind of interesting to me. The previous edition was horrible.
It's funny. I keep using the stock Mail app on my iPhone. I've had Outlook installed for years and years. I never use it. Is it any good on the iPhone?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I love it. And actually, what I did recently was I added all my accounts, including my own iCloud account, into the Outlook for two reasons. One, it just meant I could live within one app for everything. I could, if I wanted, have a view where I could see every single email from every account, which you can do, of course, in the Mac Mail app as well. But you've got the calendar built in to the Outlook app. So I can go to my calendar and I can see everything that's coming
quite
up.
Cool. Yeah, I must look into that again.
Because it's all overlaid into one view, and I do like that. So it means you've got multiple calendars. You can have them. Again, you can do all this the other way around as well. You can do all that in calendar, but obviously it's two separate apps because you've got calendar app and mail app.
Yeah.
I kind of like, especially when you're trying to work out, okay, have I got availability on that time? Instead of having to jump between apps, I can just jump between tabs on the Outlook app. So I do prefer that. And, you've got that all inboxes option where you can double tap on that and it will bring up all your different accounts.
Sorry,
and I can
that
go
is
to
great.
feedback.
That
love
saves
that.
my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love it. I love that. And I feel like it's very easy to navigate, move around. The deletion of mail is actually quicker on the Mail app because you can swipe up once to delete. You swipe up and delete and then double tap, right? So that's really good when you're in the Mail app. On the, I think Outlook is like 4 swipes up. I don't know why delete is kind of out the way like that, but that kind of annoys me. So, there's little things they could do to improve it. But I will say I do like the Outlook app. I was kind of surprised how good it was. They've brought Copilot in. I haven't used it for anything yet. I don't really know that integration yet. But I just...
So basically what we're coming back to is that you're very, very sorry, Apple. Stephen thinks you're great again.
I think, if I'm honest, and I'll admit this, I'm man enough to admit this, I kind of got sucked into the whole Apple intelligence is terrible, so therefore everything's terrible viewpoint. And actually it's not. The Apple intelligence is getting there. It's improving in cool ways. And actually it's the ways that Apple intelligence we would expect to evolve into our systems. Actually start to
I don't agree
build
with you.
in.
I don't think you were going down everything is terrible because Apple intelligence. What we've been saying recently is that we've been noticing that there's more people looking into Android. Right. And I think the draw of that is because of Gemini and the voice assistant.
Yeah.
Voice assistants on smartphones are incredibly popular. And as we keep saying, no matter what you say about Apple Intelligence, Siri is just very dated now. And I would say it's not really fit for purpose. I don't mind saying that.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe we need to differentiate between Siri and Apple Intelligence because I think we see it as one, don't we? And it's not really. It's
not. In this case, it's not. I still say, they need to sort that out. And of course, they're working on it, right? Who knows what's going to happen who knows of the time frame even. But I think we need to recognize, and I think even Apple would recognize that Siri is in. It just needs removing. It needs total replacing at the minute. I thought it was interesting that they've opened up an API for direct access to on-device Apple Intelligence. So in theory, there's no reason we couldn't see, because Siri started off life as a third-party app and Apple bought it. Maybe we can see some third-party voice assistants coming onto the App Store that use Apple Intelligence, but in a better way.
Yeah, I said a while back on the show, and maybe in last year, I can't remember, but I remember saying at one point, I feel that Apple fan people would be more forgiving if Apple takes longer to get themselves sorted out with this. And I think that's probably true, and especially true for those people who, like we were saying with Carrie and Shelley yesterday, don't really care about any of that stuff. They're more interested in, let's be honest, a lot of us blind people are more interested in, okay, so this iOS 26, are the voiceover bugs going to be fixed? Are the challenges we've faced with macOS going to be fixed? What's or what new hell awaits us? And we don't know. We don't know, right? That's the thing. We don't know. We've all experienced it. Was it iOS 18? Was that the one that was the 13? I can't remember. There was one in particular I remember was horrendously bad.
Yeah, I got a feeling it was one of the 13s or something like that. Yeah.
Unlucky for some, right? And it was one of those ones where I just felt, oh, well, this is not good, right? And that will happen. And of course, this goes back to something I actually put up on Mastodon, which is my annual reminder: do not install any of these betas on your main device.
No.
I won't read some of the responses I got on supposedly the world's friendliest platform. Not very friendly responses, I'll tell you.
Why?
Yeah, well, I think one person told me to get lost in very clear language. Because they wanted to install it, which is fine, absolutely fine. Look, you do what you want, you do you, but don't come complaining and whining and moaning when your phone doesn't work. And actually, it's not the phone that's the problem, although you will have issues if you are installing a day one beta like this. But it's actually the apps. The amount of times you'll find your banking apps just won't work. Because
banking apps won't work with any beta.
Yeah, that's the problem. People don't realize this. They go off and install these things. Oh, nothing works. Yeah, it won't. So don't do it. And also, I think this is going to be difficult for me to do, but I'm going to try this year. I kind of wanted to do this last year. We kind of broke my own rule within like 30 seconds. I'll probably break it again, but I'm going to try this year because there's a lot of people who are going to start talking on podcasts and shows all over the place about the betas and what's in the betas. Now, first off, if you sign up to the beta, you're not supposed to do that. They tell you not to do that. They tell you not to talk about that stuff because things will change. Something might even be taken away, it may be removed, it may be changed. So the idea is let's not talk. I certainly don't think we should talk too much about the betas until things release in September, October time. I think we should hold off getting into the specifics. We know what's coming. There are a cool number, and there are lots of people excited about Braille access, for example, that new feature that's coming. Lots of people were trying that out. I've seen people jumping into that, playing around with all the different settings, new voiceover things that are coming out. Loads of cool stuff, but again, we don't know how much of this will remain as is. So I'm talking to people here who I don't think there's a lot of our audience who are going to be really geeky, and that's great. And you're going to go off and you're going to play with this stuff and you're going to have a great time. But the majority of us, and I'm putting myself in this, are not going to want to completely destroy my phone to find out about a feature which might come later in the year. I'd rather wait until it's actually released in full. Now, I am going to go and play with the betas. Of course I am. I'm not going to put it on my main device. Absolutely, because I want to see where these things are going. But I want to test them out. But I'm not going to talk about it because I think it's a waste of time.
I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about it, but it depends on what sort of... If you're going to draw any conclusions from your experience,
what else
it's kind
are you
of
going to
pointless.
If you say, oh, well, I tried that Braille access and it was rubbish.
Well,
because they're still working on it.
Yeah, I hate it when people install a beta, especially a developer beta, and then get really, really angry with the company because it's got bugs in it. Well, it's meant to have bugs in it. That's
I remember people writing open letters to Apple saying around voiceover. I remember one at the time. Someone had written up a letter saying, this is an absolute disgrace and this should be fixed. And like, well, it's a beta. What are you playing at? If you've installed it on your main device, that's on you. That's nothing to do with... Look, if of course we should expect to have access and all, I understand that, but it's a beta. Clues in the name. So don't install it on your main device, and then when it doesn't work, start jumping up and down about it.
Hey, if you got a second device, install it, play
enjoy
away.
It, have fun.
be prepared to have to get yourself out of any trouble that you get yourself
A
into.
lot of our listeners are not going to be able to get themselves out of that mess. I mean, you know, once you've installed it, I don't think it's an easy way back. My experience was it was always a really considered position for me. Do I really want to do this? Because can I get back out of it easily enough? And, you know, on a Mac, you can do it, but you have to basically destroy the thing to get it back into, you know, the
It's not as
factory
easy as
settings.
I would
It's not
like.
as easy as it used to be.
Yeah.
Not the old days, you plug it. Remember the old days, you put the CD in and just reinstall the whole thing from scratch. Those days are long gone. You know, you've got to make sure that the machine will actually almost stop recognizing that particular OS, because once the new one's in, it thinks that's the most recent.
It beds
it's
itself
downloaded,
in.
and it just, when you go to restore, it just goes back to that OS again.
So are you going to install Mac OS Beta?
I kind of want to. I've got the only laptop. Well, I say the only. I mean, I could install it on my Mac Mini. That might be the way I'll do it, actually, because the Mac Mini I've got is spare. It's not being used for anything else. I've got an M2 Pro, which absolutely would be fine for it. Any M series machine will be absolutely capable of it. Yeah, I want to play with it. I want to play. I just want to sort of test out some of the features. And I've got a spare iPhone. I've got a spare Apple Watch. Happy days.
Can I just say, while you're on your Apple love again, off again, on again relationship.
It's ever really been a way. Have you just not had? It's just like a marriage having a bit of a disagreement in the marriage. No one's suggesting divorce. No one's suggesting that. Well, I wasn't. No one's suggesting divorce for 6 separate bedrooms. But you know, no one's suggesting we split up.
Yeah, well, I picked up my Apple Watch this morning. Yeah, it's been on the charger all night. Put it on, and why is it so slow lately? I'm tapping away at the screen, it's not saying anything, and then all of a sudden it's like 15 taps at once. It does it all really quickly. It is so sluggish. Is that just me? Well, yes. I mean, I usually keep it up to date. But I've noticed that for the last, I don't know, however many updates, and this is a, Series 8? Yeah,
you've got the Series 7. Is that the one I gave you?
Yes. No, I believe
that's the Series 7.
All right, Series 7. Whatever. What are we up to? 10?
Yeah, Series 10.
Series 10's the last one. So
you should be fine. I mean, Series 7
should be fine.
Fine.
Honestly, I think it's so unresponsive.
I just think is it because you're not using it enough? I find this with Android. I find exactly the same thing because I'm not using it all the time. When I turn it back on again, it's obviously trying to do all the catch up in the background. So I kind of have to forgive it if it's taking a bit longer.
No, you don't. I'm sorry. If it makes itself unusable, why it catches up? That's just bad coding, surely.
I don't know. I think that's a bit.
Apologist. Apple fanboy. No.
I'm back again. Please let me back in. Please let me back in the magic circle. Send me an iPhone.
You burnt those bridges. Carry on.
They're never speaking to me again. Right, look, stick around. We're going to get into some of your feedback next.
This is Double Tap. We'll be right back.
Thanks to our friends at Hable, Double Tap listeners get 15% off the Hable One and Hable Easy, but only for a limited time. The Hable One makes navigating your phone faster, easier, and more private with a tactile braille keyboard that fits in your pocket. It's perfect for writing texts, using apps, and keeping your phone tucked away with a full month of battery life. Or go with the Hable Easy, the simple remote for people who don't want to mess with complicated gestures. Big, clearly labelled buttons make it easy to do the basics, open apps, send messages, and use voice commands. No steep learning curve, no frustration, just tech that works. Get your 15% discount now at doubletaponair.com/Hable.
This is Double Tap. Now, back to the show.
Okay, let's get back into the emails.
Do you know where vanilla flavouring comes from, Stephen Scott?
Vanilla land.
Just Google it. Let's get to the feedback.
Why do I feel I've just walked into a trap? What? What's happening?
No, just
what is it? I'm not paranoid.
After the show, just Google it.
I'm not Googling that. What on earth have you walked me into?
No, please don't dwell on it. Hit that jingle.
That's all I'm going to think about now till the rest of the show.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Please hit that jingle.
I'm not playing the jingle now.
I'm not answering it, so we'll sit here in silence.
I want to get straight into these emails. Let's just go to Hetty.
Hi there. Sorry to bother you guys again, but this is Hetty, and I was listening to another of your podcasts of Double Tap, and they were talking about Siri. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, she's pretty bad right now. Although I love the fact that now she can turn off the phone. That's really neat. So I will give credit where credit is due. However, I really miss some of the fun that used to be in Siri. Because I feel like in the U.S., they're trying to boringize everything. Just turn it all into boring Oregon, and I don't want to do that. Like, for instance, all the cool candies, like for Easter, the little tiny chickens that did not have red dye number 3 in them, those are all gone. They have the marshmallow peeps, but they used to have these cute little candy corn type of things, and those are gone. The chocolate marshmallow Santa Clauses and snowmen, they're gone. It's just like they're trying to boring everything. It's just now Hershey's or peanut butter cups, which are good, but they're just not as fun. They're not as interesting.
Yeah.
And Siri used to have a feature where if it was like 0 degrees out Fahrenheit, that's pretty cold. And she would say, "Brr, it's 0 degrees out." And now they've decided to boringize her, and she does not have the personality anymore. And you ask her the temperature, which I do frequently because I don't have a thermometer that's accessible. And she'll just say, "It's 0 degrees out there," like, big deal, what's the point? So I was just going to say this because I feel I miss the fun part of Siri. And I'd like to see if anyone else feels the same. I think a little fun can be really nice in life. And, it can keep you from getting bored or depressed. Just a little laugh here and there. And I do have other friends. I'm not trying to tell you that I rely on Siri for all my fun and laughs and stuff. I don't. But I think it'd be cool if they brought that back. I've talked to Apple a couple of times about that, and they did not. "Oh, you got to go on the web," and I don't like going on the web. It's so time-consuming. And you got to give feedback, and feedback is like, the noise that you hear at the theater when the microphone goes back. To me, feedback is not all that great. I would just like Apple to know, gee, why don't you put the fun back in Siri? So I'll be interesting to see if you play this on air. That would be neat, and what you guys think of it. Thank you again. Have a good day. I promise I won't send any more messages today. Have a great day.
No more messages, please. Anytime. We love your messages, Hetty.
I don't think you send that many messages, Hetty. I think it's absolutely fine. You send as many as you want. We can't guarantee we're going to be able to play everything that you send in, but we'll do our best.
Can I just say, Apple say, you need to go on the web or whatever to leave feedback. Isn't the fact that you got in touch and talking with them and them telling you need to do this to leave feedback actually you leaving feedback in the first place?
Can't they just say, let's take a note and we'll do that for you? I mean, that's one thing that I would have thought Apple would be really good with.
I totally agree with you, by the way. Voice assistants with that human touch. I think it's essential. Otherwise, it just, you want that connection. That connection almost builds brand loyalty, right? It does give technology a personality. Now, on the flip side of that, if AI asks me, what are you doing today after every answer it gives me, it drives me crazy. But you should be able to choose that, either dial it up or dial it down. But yeah, I totally agree with you. There's something about that humanitizing, is that a word, of AI? And I agree with you.
Let's de-boringize.
Yes, de-boringize. Yes, no, it's true though, right?
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%. And actually, it's interesting because with OpenAI, they've launched the new advanced voice mode feature they've already had advanced voice mode for a long time for paying customers of ChatGPT. And they've kind of upped the gear on that a little bit. And, you can kind of prompt it to say, there's one video that's going around at the minute, and, it's like, wish me an awkward happy birthday. And it's like, I think it's your birthday. Is that right? And it's like it's bringing some personality into it. And I think that's it. I don't really want to prompt it to be a certain way. It's like, you're saying, Hetty, you kind of want, it's like, is it cold outside? Ooh, yes, it's cold. That's cool, right? That's what you want. You kind of want that human-ish response.
Yeah, but it does depend on the context of the situation. Sometimes I just give me the information and shut up. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood, right? So it is nice to have that customizable to some degree.
But again, though, so a lot of people say this with things like ChatGPT, Gemini. I guess Claude as well to some degree, but all these kind of things, you can just prompt it to say that. So, okay, don't give me all this fluff. Like, for example, when sometimes with Gemini, it'll start telling you something and it does that thing. Do you want to know more? And I'm like, yeah, stop asking me if I want to know more. Just tell me everything.
Yeah.
You kind of have to prompt it that way. That's you prompting it to say, here's what I want. Stop asking me every 3 seconds if I want more or I want this or I want that. Just give me what I've asked for.
Is there anything more annoying than trying to read a wiki article on your Echo smart speaker?
Oh,
It'll read about 2 lines to say, should I read more? Yes. And you got every time it's just, okay, forget it. You know what? Forget it.
I know. Well, we are going to be hearing soon from some people who are starting to experience Lady A Plus and getting their takes on it. Have you heard from anyone that's using it yet?
I've seen the YouTube videos. It's not looking all rosy. Let's put it that way.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we've got one email coming up. It won't be today. Laura's yet to read it, but we will be reading out one email soon, which I think might be quite interesting. Gives you a bit of an insight into how it actually works, especially from our perspective. Hetty, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate the message, and get in touch anytime. Let's go to Ian, who wants to talk about Voice Dream Reader.
Hi to all double tappers. Shaun, you asked for experience in using Voice Dream Reader. I was going to contact you anyway about the app in the context of your discussion on reading newspapers. I've used the app since it was launched and continue to use Voice Dream Reader since the subscription debacle for the RNIB newspapers and magazines, but no longer use it for reading Daisy audiobooks as its cloud sync service seems to no longer work. The process for getting the text files into VDR is somewhat clunky, but I still use it, as the ability to navigate by heading is so useful once the publication is open. The app also has decent search and bookmarking options, along with a usable foldering system. The headings function allows me to skip through articles I'm not interested in. I think the app is still good for those with low vision or dyslexia. If the 11 Labs or Easy Readers apps could have the same navigation functionality, I would probably use them for their better voices. I'm currently using my Siri voice in VDR, which is nowhere near as good as AI-based voices. I like VDR personally, but would love to know if an app that could streamline getting RNIB papers and magazines into my iPhone and read them out to me in a more natural way. Failing that, it would be great if RNIB could implement some sort of RSS feed system to automatically update to a feed reader. Until then, I will stick with what I know. I don't have any problems with speed or new bugs, but I have stopped updating the app since the uproar, just in case. Cheers, guys. Ian from Hull.
Thank you, Ian. Voice Dream Reader. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. It's something that I don't use, but I hear it's almost like over here we got Marmite. It's almost like people either love it or hate it.
Yeah.
So, it's good to get your take on that. I will say, of course, I think there was an update to Easy Reader from Dolphin the other day on the iPhone. I don't know about on Windows, but I find Easy Reader still very usable.
Well, the big update really for that was there was a little bit of a design refresh. Right. I don't think they used liquid glass. I think they've avoided that. Wow. It's never good around blind people. You don't want glass lying around.
Not liquid either.
No liquids either. No liquids
over.
Anywhere near glass. But they did fix a lot of the issues that they were having for people who were trying to log into the RNIB Reading Services account. That was pretty cool. I did also notice that now I can use the premium voices that I couldn't access before. So that's pretty cool. They've also added this new screen reader mode in, so you can actually use your screen reader voice to read. It's a slightly different mode. So it kind of,
instead of the self-voicing reading out. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Didn't have that before.
I always get any app that's self-voicing always throws me. So, what do I do now? I'm so used to the screen reader. I mean, why not just keep using the screen reader?
And it seems to separate everything out into lines, so you can sort of very quickly navigate around via screen reader. But you can also just you can stop and then find your place again. It's quite nice actually. I mean, I'm still kind of getting used to it, but I quite like the idea. I prefer the voices that are actually in there. I'd rather just set the voice off and let it read. Mm-hmm. And I quite enjoy that. And of course, I do like that you can jump by headings, so you can easily move from one article to the next. For me, it's about the newspaper reading. I love that, and I'm with you as well on this, Ian, because one of the things I think about a lot is when RNIB ages ago had the magazine feeds. I don't know if they still have them, but they used to have magazine feeds. You would get audio, which was spoken audio, so volunteers would read these articles. And that was great because you could put it into an RSS reader. It would have a username and password, which was your account username and password. And you could just, have your feed updated every day. But that seems to have gone away. I kind of wish they would do that with the newspaper articles as well. I feel that whole. It's funny because RNIB News Agent is what it's called, NFB Newsline in the States. It's a different system over there. But the RNIB News Agent to me is one of those things that feels like it languishes a little bit. I mean, the website, the actual website for it is ancient. I mean, it's like, if you want to know what kids today, if you want to know what the internet used to look like, visit the RNIB News Agent, because there you go.
Internet archive.
Exactly.
It's awful.
It's the history.
I mean, I suppose the argument
internet
has always been like, plain websites are much easier for us to navigate. I don't think that's it's definitely not the case anymore. I think there's no reason.
No, I don't feel it's because of, I mean, they might use that as the excuse. I think it's just more a case of they just haven't got around to updating it. Yeah. And I think some investment needs to go into it because it's a really valuable service. I mean, the fact that you're able to get access to any newspaper in the UK at 6 a.m. every morning. Go get the papers, go read the papers. It's there every day. And it's fully accessible. It's a brilliant service, but the challenge has been actually accessing the materials. That's the bit that blows my mind. And I have said this so many times. The Victor Reader Stream 3, the RNIB News Agent should be part of that. It should be available on that, like NFB Newsline is. I mean, this is where, NFB Newsline, Bookshare, all these content providers, and I would say RNIB is a content provider in this case, these other organizations are making their materials available. The Bookshare, the NLS talking book service, I guess it's called Bard, I think in the US. Yeah. You've got Sela in Canada. They're all available. The Vision Australia one, that's all there as well. But getting access to this stuff on the Victor Reader, and I am picking a little bit on that device because a lot of people use it and love it. And this is not, and if you think writing to Humanware is going to solve this problem, it ain't. You've got to write to the provider to say, are you providing your content on this device? Mm-hmm. It'd be like calling Spotify and saying, hey, I can't find Double Tap. Well, Spotify are just going to say, well, you got to contact Double Tap then. It's nothing to do with us.
Spotify?
I think we're on Spotify. I'm using it as an example.
On Spotify.
Well, I think we are on Spotify. Well, we started the whole thing. If we're not on Spotify, call Spotify. But demand it immediately.
I keep hearing adverts for 11 Reader from 11 Labs.
11 Labs.
And that specifically mentions PDFs, and I don't think it mentions anything else in the adverts I've seen. But, I mean, I'm really tempted to try that purely down to the quality of, I think it says like 300 AI voices. It sounds amazing.
They've got a lot of cool voices on there. And I don't know how much of it is free.
No, I don't either. No.
Because I know with 11 Labs, there are some free voices and they're very good, but, there's even more available. And
I don't know how much of this, when I'm talking about this app, is even accessible. I mean, I'm just saying I've heard adverts for it. It's just...
I've seen a few blind people in the community talking about it, so it doesn't sound like it's entirely inaccessible.
Right. Good.
But, well, it's worth checking out, again, if you just want to have things read out. I mean, again, it's that thing of, I think about Scribe from Numa Solutions, and I think about that, and I mean, that's built for us. So I'm kind of tempted to go there first, you know what I mean? Because I know that it's going to work for me. And I know they're obviously developing that in a big way, because we obviously had Mike Calvo on recently talking about the update that's coming, where it's going to be available on Mac as well and Windows as an app. Yes. And it'll replace DocuScan, which is going to be very interesting to see how that works. And that's all going to work. Sometimes it's like, I was meeting someone the other week, and I had thinking about, when I come off the bus in town, I'm going to have to get, another bus from somewhere. So I'm on the Move app and I'm trying to work out where I would get the bus. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to get a taxi. I'm just going to get a taxi.
I do that all the time.
Path of least resistance sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not, and people, it's cheating and you should use your own M. It's like, yeah, but you know what? Also, I just need to get somewhere.
Yeah.
I can be a hero another day. Today, I'll just get a taxi.
Well, yeah, but why is it doing it the other way make you a hero? It's just about getting from A to B, right? I don't think it matters.
Exactly. Well, that's the independence versus dependence argument, isn't it? But anyway, like I say, that's why I would look at something like Scribe, because I know it's built for me, path of least resistance for me, right? It's going to work. I'm not going to worry about it. 11 Labs, am I going to have to learn this whole new thing? Other parts of this website, you get up against it, and then suddenly it's like, oh, that bit's not accessible. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might be wonderful. I honestly don't know. But let us know if you've been trying out 11 Reader. Cool story, and always interesting to know about what's happening with Voice Dream Reader, because of course there was a lot of controversy around that app for a while. Yeah. Let's go to Gary. He wants to talk about multi-page scanning with Seeing AI.
Hello, Double Tappers. This is Gary, direct to you from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Ooh.
And on today's broadcast, you mentioned some of the shortcomings of Seeing AI, particularly in how to do multi-page documents and such like that. When you hit the read button and tap for the document, you scan the first page, and then as you're reading through the page, at the top you'll find Add Page, and if you add page, it will be all set up to scan the second page or as many pages as you want. And I find it to go very quickly that way, just to go through all my mail, and at the end you can delete the whole mess and be done with it. Or you can save it or share it like you normally would. As far as I know, I haven't explored that too much yet. But anyway, I enjoy you guys and have a great day.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. Always interesting to know about the cool ways to use these apps. And yeah, it's the features are there, and it's just a case of figuring these things out.
Well, yeah, and great explanation, by the way. So multi-page scanning. But I'm just wondering, because this comes off an email we got saying they were wondering how to do this. But I'm thinking more batch scanning, where you want it to, you turn to another page and it automatically recognizes that and takes the picture, turn to another page, sort of almost automating the process. With this one, do you need to keep pressing add page, line up, take picture, add page, line up, take picture? I'm being a bit picky here, but I'm just wondering if this was the actual solution the listener was looking for. But
VoiceStream Scanner.
Still very cool. What?
VoiceStream Scanner. That's the one I use. VD Scan. Horrible name, but true.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Does that have batch scanning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's good. That's a really good app.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, let's move on to Ash.
I know that people love the Meta Ray-Bans. I know it's not built for blind people. The AI itself is a little laughable. I don't know how people have used this thing. I used this thing for a solid week and a half. I couldn't get any Be My Eyes reps to actually see anything. They kept telling me they can't see anything. It's grainy. So I couldn't use it. I have a lot more hope with the EchoVisions. They, at the very least, are demoing this thing and showing it in action, even with the mistakes. And I can respect that because it's given me a real-time idea of like what this thing can and cannot do. And they've been updating us. Hey, this is coming out in August. This is coming out in September. This is actually going to happen. So I'm very happy about the way they've handled it. They've been very communicative with every email that I've sent them. They've been very responsive, and I was more than happy to put out the $500 for the pre-order. Truthfully, it's just the beginning because I see it as almost a placeholder device. I might get it and love it, and I think it'll be great. But even if it's not, ultimately we're going to get Apple glasses. We're going to get Google glasses. We're going to get Samsung glasses. We're going to get whatever tech we're going to get in the next 3-4 years that's going to sort of blow all these devices out of the water. And I'm excited for that. So I hope you are doing well. I appreciate all of your efforts. Thank you for existing, and thank you for bringing us together in a way that hasn't really been done before.
Well, thank you. We're glad we exist.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's
Thank
nice
you,
someone
Ash.
actually recognises that that factor of life for us.
It's interesting. You know what? A friend of mine bought some Ray-Bans just yesterday on my recommendation, and I was really nervous because they either work really well or not for some people. And I it's really hard to give a general recommendation because the amount of times I see people online saying the Bluetooth connection just keeps dropping. It's terrible. Or my internet, it says I need to connect to the internet when I am. it's really difficult. But for me, they work really well. So the EchoVisions, though, much more open platform. We're thinking Ira and Be My Eyes here, aren't we? They're much more open. So very interesting. Yeah, I'm hope we see them coming out anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really keen to see how it goes. It is interesting you make that point, though, about, essentially Apple and Google and Samsung and whoever else, kind of blowing all of these out of the water. And, he might be quite excited about it. I'm not sure Giga is very keen on that idea. But, this is, I think, the reality we're going to face. I think there's going to be a lot of movement in this space. And this is something that's maybe a little bit new to some of us. You would think you buy a product and then it's here, that's it. You're supported now for the rest of time. It's just not the world we live in anymore. Something new comes along and that product may be completely defunct by, the time that new product comes out because it just overtakes everything. And I think we're all kind of looking to see what Apple come up with. I'm more interested at the moment in what Google are doing in this space because it's more real and happening. We know it's coming. I'd like to think by the end of the year. We'll
Really?
see.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's just that was kind of what was pitched at Google I/O, right? So, I think we're going to see something by the end of the year.
Well, something running the Android XR platform.
And look, you have to understand why. Because look, Meta are moving ahead and they are 2 generations in already, possibly a 3rd generation in September this year. So, look out for Google because they're coming after Meta on this. They want to come after Meta on this.
Yeah, everyone, that's a big market share, right?
Huge.
That's a lot of dollars. So absolutely. I will say I used Be My Eyes on my Meta Ray-Bans this morning to navigate me past a row of cars that were parked all over the sidewalk, and amazing. Yeah,
well, I didn't use it for that, but that day I was telling you I was looking for the taxi. I actually used it to find a taxi.
Yeah.
That was the thing, because I knew there was a taxi rank sort of nearby where I was. I couldn't think where. Didn't realize it was like literally in front of me when I got there. So that was brilliant. And yeah.
You know what, though? I will say that. We're always saying how great it was. I will say this as well. I had a volunteer a couple of weeks ago who just seemed shy almost. They wouldn't talk. And they were very, very quiet until, I had to just say, okay, thanks for your time. And I hung up. So
through Be My Eyes.
In Be My Eyes,
yeah.
So it does happen. But again, if that does happen to you, don't be afraid to just hang up. I'm not saying be rude or anything, but this is your time and your assistance. So don't be afraid just to call back. I called back and got some great assistance from the next person. Very rare, I will say. It has hardly happened to me where I get a volunteer who hasn't been very helpful. But still, I think it's important people know.
To me, that's just real life, isn't it? I mean, it is. That volunteer has maybe signed up. And look, something we know about with Be My Eyes is that a lot of the people who actually sign up don't often get a call for a long time.
Yeah.
So they could actually get a call and suddenly they go, oh, hang on, I need to do this now.
Yeah.
And they're really excited about it. And I'll give you an example. It hasn't happened to me. I should point this out. But I know when celebrities meet people, they often say when celebrities meet them that, the person who meets them is very shy and doesn't say anything. Almost like they don't like the person. But actually, it's just the shyness. And then maybe that's it. Maybe that's the thing. It's like, I now have to speak to this blind person. Oh, how's it going?
I'm not saying that volunteer was a terrible, terrible person. I'm just saying
I think that's exactly what you said.
In that moment, I needed assistance, and I just, I didn't have time to wait around. So.
You don't have time to appease all the kind of.
No, that's right.
I don't want to make your life easy. I mean, it's like you always have to kind of settle the person and calm them down.
That's right. Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to get the thing done. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't think we've got. Well, okay, we've got time for one more. If this is a short one, let's go to David.
Hello. I first want to say that I really enjoyed Lisa Salinger's comparison of the BT Speak and the Orbit Speak. I have been aware of Lisa's work for over a decade, and she is a professional technology trainer with an excellent reputation in her field, and I have nothing but the highest respect and admiration for her. During your April 30th podcast, Lisa indicated that the BT Speak boots up into a file called the welcome screen. While this is initially the case when booting up the BT Speak for the first time, it should be pointed out that the BT Speak always boots up in the last file you are working on when you power down the device. As an example, if you were editing a file called Journal and you then power down your BT Speak, powering the device back on places you right back in your Journal file. From David Goldfield, Director of Marketing at Blazy Technologies.
Oh, so he knows what he's talking about. Okay, fine. Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you for that, David. I appreciate that.
Thanks for that clarification. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, we're almost out of time today. We're going to dive into more of your emails tomorrow. We're also going to be talking to Patrick Burton about an amazing selection of apps that you will probably know about. Ben Vision being one of them, but Speakaboo being another. And this is an app which a lot of people have been rather interested in, have been talking about. And we're going to get into a pretty deep conversation when it comes to how these apps are developed, the strain of keeping an app alive in this world when there are so many subscriptions out there, so many products that are vying for our money. How do you keep it going? How do you keep supporting a community? How useful is that feedback from the community? When can that feedback become toxic as well? So a really interesting conversation. I actually spoke to Patrick a few weeks ago. We just haven't got around to broadcasting this interview yet, but I think it's a really interesting one. We're going to get on tomorrow's show. And like I say, get into more of your emails as well. So, looking forward to that. And, just talking about the realities of life as a developer, Shaun, because it's
always interesting, isn't it?
Think of the app, don't we? We never think of the people behind it.
Yeah, to get the other side of the coin. I want everything for free, especially me. Of course I do. But, you know, that's just not sustainable.
Free at what cost?
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's paying, right? So... yeah. Anyway, we're going to get into that tomorrow. Keep your feedback coming. As always, we love getting your feedback on the show. So get in touch with us and share your thoughts from what you've heard and also your thoughts on WWDC as well. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.